At 12 o'clock, we got Central Michigan traveling to my boys, number 14, Penn State. We'll talk about the performances last week. Central Michigan's 1-2, by the way. Penn State's 3-0. Penn State favorite by 28 points on the Big Ten Network. Let's go over the stats real quick, and then we're going to go over the performances by everyone. Daniel Richardson for Central Michigan has gone 73 of 127 to start the year, 889 yards, 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Lou Nichols, the third on the ground, has had 71 carries for 258 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Jalen McGotti has had 11 catches for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sean Clifford through the air has gone 53 and 93, thrown for 673 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Nicholas Singleton on the ground has broken off as a breakout player for this Penn State team. He's had 30 carries for 334 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Brenton Strange is a new name to the mix if you are following in my Penn State videos. I was talking about Mitchell Tinsley for the last 2 games. Brenton Strange has become the leading receiver for this football team. 9 catches for 169 yards and a touchdown. These two teams have played once before. Penn State won that matchup in 2005, 40-3. This was in State College. It's going to be in State College again. Let's see if Central Michigan can put their first touchdown on the board against Penn State. I think what's going to be really kind of fascinating here is this is an obvious big game for Penn State. It's coming off a huge victory against Auburn, right? A victory that launched them from 23, I believe, to 14 this week. This was a huge jump for the Nittany Lions. It's because they absolutely dominated an Auburn team. Keep in mind, Penn State was only favored by like 3.5 heading into that game. And they just came out and they punched an SEC team in the face. I was actually at that game on the road. Sean Clifford looked great, but I think the real key focus for this Penn State team is they have figured out how to run the football. And anyone who watched Penn State last year knew that was the big weakness of the football team. The fact is, Sean Clifford was relied on to do everything, right? He was their entire offense. And that was the reason why they lost when he went out against Iowa. It was the reason why they lost when he was not completely healthy in the Illinois game. And it was the reason why they lost in the Ohio State, Michigan State games, because they relied too much on Sean Clifford. And eventually defenses took advantage of that. I mean, when you can stop the run with only 4 guys, it gives you a lot more ability to just do whatever you want as a defense. Penn State finally figured out how to run the ball at teams, and Penn State looks like it's going to be a tough team to beat this year. Sean Clifford's a very experienced veteran quarterback for this football team. He's only made really 1 mistake so far this season on the Purdue game. He obviously led the amazing touchdown drive to win that game. And while he hasn't been phenomenal in the Ohio and Auburn games, he didn't have to be. Nicholas Singleton and Allen on the ground and Kayvon Lee, they have been a straight-up dominant trio on the ground, and it's actually really fun to see as a Penn State fan. Now, as long as Penn State doesn't screw up, this week and next week should be rather boring for Penn State fans. And then they got a bye week. So then they hit Michigan, Minnesota, and Ohio State in a row, and that's going to be really determine how their season goes, is those 3 football games. If you can win all those 3, you're suddenly looking at a playoff team, right? Because Michigan State's probably the only tough team on your schedule after that. Unless, like, Maryland is a huge surprise, or Indiana's a big surprise, or Rutgers is a big surprise. Like, let's be honest, that's rather unlikely. I expect Penn State to win this one. I expect them to cover the 28-point spread.